evening and welcome to ITV Gold. Today we have a truly special father-daughter duo whose work is making history. Their documentary, Destination Oak Tree Road, has not only captured the stories of a vibrant South Asian community in America, but has now earned two prestigious New York Emmy Award nominations in documentary historical and performer narrator categories. Joining me are Rohit Vyas, a legendary broadcast journalist, filmmaker, and the longest-serving Indian-American journalist in North America, with decades of groundbreaking reporting from the White House to the United Nations. And alongside him, his daughter, Aditi Vyas, an Emmy-nominated executive producer, actress, and trailblazing host who's made her mark from motorsports stadium to PBS screens, while also carrying forward her family's legacy of storytelling. It's an honor to welcome Rohit and Aditi Vyas to the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Yeah.
Many congratulations. Big
Thank
news.
you.
How does it feel?
Well, it feels very exciting, at the same time overwhelming, because now I've got, thanks to publicity that was given by you folks in your newspaper divisions, a lot of New Jersey people have got to know about the nominations, and all of a sudden I feel that I've got the entire state of New Jersey now on my shoulders, rooting for me.
Yes.
To win, at the red carpet and beyond, and so it's really an honor. It's an honor to be nominated for a project basically that was a labor of love. As far as I'm concerned, it was a labor of love, something I wanted to do for my community.
What does this nomination mean to you?
Absolutely. The labor of love is the exact right term for it. It was very exciting for me because not only do I get to see my legendary father finally get nominated for performer narrator, which was long overdue, but especially, the documentary historical nomination is so important because this is our history, this is American history, and as a result of this New York Emmy nomination, we are not only bringing it to the country, all over the country, but we're going to be bringing it to India as well. So we're so excited for so many people to see this film that was truly made just for the community and to preserve our history.
You mentioned it's a labor of love. Also, it's a product, it's a home product, so to speak. And let's talk about the inspiration.
I think I can start with that.
I think you should.
Actually, this was something that was in the making a long time. It's an idea my wife had. Her name is Isha. Isha Vyas is the co-executive producer and the writer of this entire thing. It was her concept originally, and she's been involved in the arts and history in the state of New Jersey for a long time, a number of years. And, she'd been telling me, she said, look, there's a lot of curiosity about the history of Indians on Oak Tree Road in Edison and Woodbridge, and how they transformed the area from a once declining strip into making it one of the most well-known spots in the entire world. And at a point, I didn't show much interest. I did show some interest, but not much. And she kept telling me, listen, you're the longest-serving Indian journalist in North America. You know this area when it was nothing, and then you've known how good it was, how the community built it and established it. And so she said, I'm going to do this, with or without you.
With or without
You're the
you.
most qualified person in North America to do this for our community. But if you show me declining interest or no interest whatsoever, I will hire somebody else. And I'll do it, hiring another director, and then it'll be made. And once it's made, don't you dare come back to me and say it wasn't made the right way, because you know the history of our community more than anybody else. So that's how this whole thing came to fruition.
Wow.
I accepted the threat and sort of got, I didn't want her to threaten me anymore. I said, okay, I'll do it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to jump off of that story, what was really cool about this project is obviously got to make it alongside my parents, and all three of us bring very different areas of expertise. But on top of that, we hired a very diverse crew and cast of people that we interviewed, people from all over the state. We really tried to make this a New Jersey-based production, all different walks of life. That meant different generations, as well as where their areas of expertise came from and ethnicities and it was so lovely to have all of these different talented people working together. So not only did I get to work alongside my parents, my mother was the co-writer and director of research. She had a historian, many other people doing the research for her that she led. He was the director, co-writer, and narrator, all of us executive producers. We brought on a few other producers, a really talented director of photography, tons of editors, graphics, etc. And I kind of got to oversee not only executive producing, but as well as at the very end, the director of post-production, which really kind of putting that film together, making sure that the story is both visually appealing and stimulating intellectually as well.
Do you think this was the right time to produce a documentary on Oak Tree Road, considering, the existence of so many of these stores is threatened now, and so many stores are getting closed every other day? So do you think this was the right time to do something like this?
It's the right time. An area like this evolves over time and evolves rapidly. That's the story of America, actually, right now, and the story of any nation, for that matter. But essentially, this area, the strip we talked about in the film, Edison to Woodbridge, Oak Tree Road specifically, is one that has been given the boom by the South Asian community. First the Indian American community, and then the extended South Asian community, which has been coming in here. So, the stores shutting down, closing down, etc., and new ones popping up is pretty much the norm anywhere in the country. So if one shuts down, you see something bigger coming up. And that's what I'm seeing right now. So it was the right time. The whole idea of this film was to talk about the early history, to talk about the struggles, most importantly, the struggles of the Indian American community, which was a fledgling community at that time. Okay, they were all new immigrants, but they all wanted to work hard and make a name for themselves, make a living for themselves, and give a good, do something good for the entire community around, including the local community that was there at the time. So this is the story of how they struggled. There was opposition. It's in the film.
A lot of
And then
bureaucracy
a lot
or
of-
red tape.
A lot of things happened at that time, and it's all in the film, and we talk about it. We've talked to officials who were there at the time and officials who are there now, and we've talked to the merchants who were there initially.
So were they the heroes and the villains, who...
Everybody we talked to, yes. We
Wow.
talked to a lot of people, and in the end, the conclusion that everybody else speaks about in this film is that despite all the opposition, despite all the obstacles, and despite all the resistance, early resistance at that time, in the end, everybody came together. And today, you see the mainstream community everywhere, the local community, I mean when I say that, they love the community. They love the South Asian community, and they're all there. They're all on Oak Tree Road. But shops, specifically to the answer to your question, shops shutting down, etc. Was this the right time? Yeah, it's always the right time. And I think closing down and new ones coming in is very normal in any retail environment.
How did you balance the storytelling as a narrator and journalist with decades of experience, and Aditi as the younger creative voice? How did those perspectives come together?
I think, first of all, it's always very challenging, but also exciting to work with, your parent. But in this circumstance, we approached it as two professionals who have very different areas of expertise. Like I said earlier, we balanced out the crew that we were working with for different voices. But specifically when it came to that creative molding process, it was amazing to have two different perspectives of me, the youngest person, and him, the most senior, experienced person, where his perspective might have been a little bit different from mine. And so we learned from each other throughout this process. There were moments of interviews where I was moved in the room listening because some of this history I had no idea even existed. And then on his end, there were different angles that he never thought of. And these things that are happening perhaps now with this newer generation of people where we're transitioning from childhood into adulthood and our challenges versus for me, what I realized a lot of that I could learn from the challenges that these pioneers have faced already. And with him having over 4 decades of experience, I think he brought such a comfort to the people that were the pioneers of the area. And then I brought a little bit of excitement and newness and what is this, motorsports host / actress doing here in the mix of all of this? journalistic integrity, and all of these different perspectives really kind of shape the story to be really dynamic and exciting. And it's a story for everybody, regardless of age, regardless of where you come from. And I think that was really fun about making it, a father-daughter duo creative process.
Rohitji, you've spent 4 decades covering South Asian diaspora stories. How does this documentary differ from your previous work as a journalist?
Well, over here, I'm putting things together, taking a particular area, taking a particularly important one in our community's history. For me, this is more a work of telling the story of our community. It's our community has been around for over a century. A lot of people don't know that in this country. It's been around a long, long time. And nobody really covered our community to the extent I personally have. And I'm grateful to the print media where I've worked over the years. I'm grateful to the broadcast media where I've worked over the years for giving me that opportunity and that responsibility of accurately covering our community. So it's just the way I can put it is simply this, that from transitioning from broadcast media, print media, etc., into documentary filmmaking was a natural process, and seemed to be the natural calling as well. Because now I'd like to put all that knowledge I have garnered over the years together into making such projects to tell the story of our community. That's the legacy I want to leave, because none of us is going to be around forever. And right now I have in my head and I have in my memories, etc., a lot I know about our community's struggles, about their achievements, about their being quintessentially Americans, all of them. And if I don't tell the story, it'll be lost forever. So what I want to do now is concentrate more on this than being a broadcast journalist just standing there covering stuff, which I've done all my life. I've traveled with presidents, I've done things like that. I've covered crime in New York City, all the rest of it I've done. But now the time for me in this stage of my life is to tell the story wherever I can of my community, so it's there for history. As I said before, this is not a profit-making venture for me by any means, and won't be. I'm here, as long as I'm alive, to tell the good stories of my community so that every American is proud of Indian Americans and South Asian Americans.
Absolutely. Aditi, was there any story that really touched you or kind of have a very deep impact on you?
Absolutely. I don't want to give too much away about the film, because I would love for everybody who hasn't seen it yet to go see it. But as I mentioned, being part of this creative producing process, there was a lot of things that I heard and were moved by in the room. And in particular, I believe is what I could learn from the pioneers. Many of them are, all the way up to 90 years old. So like he said, those stories, if they're not being told now, they will be lost forever. And I think, there was a particular moment when I was listening to somebody speak, and he was expressing how, in spite of a lot of the opposition and vandalism and whatnot that he faced, it was really important to him that his response was not to retaliate, not to prosecute, but to make the person who didn't understand his culture or who he was, why he was starting a business there, just understand who he was. And that is what I think is such a beautiful part of Oak Tree Road and the spirit of it. It's the community. Right? It's a community for not just Indian Americans, but those who might not even know what Indian Americans have done in this country. For somebody like me, I'm a third generation here, right? I mean, you can hear my accent. I am very much part of the American fabric. So to learn about the history that is part of my family history was so exciting. And I sat there and I thought, how wonderful that there is a lot going on right now. There's so much divisiveness in this country.
Right.
And that is a lesson that I could take with me and hopefully continue to spread, is that, if we take the time to understand each other, we're all not that different. We're kind of the same. And that was a really, really nice moment to hear how he, in spite of what he faced, did not want to prosecute, anything like that. It was more just about making this a community for every single person, not just Indian Americans, but everybody to come shop, to come eat and have a good time.
I wanted to point out something here. By the way, I wanted to say something here, is that for the viewers to understand, working with your daughter is not easy. Because this is a new
Especially me.
generation, a totally different generation. And they have a completely different way of thinking, which is the whole idea of this whole team, as she mentioned, with different age groups, different people with different experiences, all contributing to putting this film together. And this one was particularly tough when it came to directing me when I was narrating and walking the streets, etc. She was tough. And she didn't like a shot because I'm the director, but if I'm on camera, I couldn't direct myself. So she was directing me.
Right.
And there were some tough moments working with this one.
Also, creatively for him in documentary filmmaking, it's not like when you're making a scripted film where you can have every shot already planned out because you're kind of taking footage on the fly. And in that way, I'm a very visual, creative person. And so, for him, he's used to just running, trying to get the story. And I'd be like, nope, we have got to realign this, the lighting, the this, the that. But on top of that, I think, as he mentioned, having all these different perspectives was super important to us because in documentary filmmaking, you'll see a lot of sensationalism sometimes. People will make the films with the idea of, let's make someone the villain. Let's make somebody look silly. Let's make somebody be the person everybody loves. We did not want any of that. We wanted the story to be authentic. We wanted it to be palpable, that it was the history. And having the different perspectives of myself, him, and everybody else, but especially as you mentioned, that multi-generational perspective, it doesn't get lost in the muddiness of anybody versus anybody. It's very much a story for everyone. And sometimes that takes being a little tough on your dad.
Rohitji, you've interviewed world leaders, traveled with the White House, even joined an Indian Prime Minister's delegation.
Yeah.
Did your global experiences shape how you told the very local story of Oak Tree Road?
Yes, absolutely. Good question. And yes, thank you for that question. Yes, it did. When you get to meet so many people around the world, not just from our community, not just Indians, not just even Pakistanis, Bangladeshis. I've traveled to all those countries with the White House. And you get a real sense of what their diaspora elsewhere in the world is when you go to the original countries, the home countries. And yes, so it helped me a lot in understanding. I already knew each of those cultures that we had to deal with and shoot and that type of thing on scene. And that experience enriched me more than anything else, is to travel around, to meet different people. And I give that advice to people. I say, look, don't stick in your cocoons, travel around the world. You'll be much more open-minded about people. And that will help you, everybody, in relationships and things like that. In this case, in creating a documentary. Because now I know the other side of the world. I know where their origins were. And then I'm here doing a story of them locally, how they're growing in another country, and how they're becoming part of the fabric of that nation right here in the United States. And yes, so it did help tremendously.
I'd also like to point out, your point too, where you said he interviewed a lot of world leaders and different figures, and that was definitely very important for set because we interviewed a lot of the politicians. We went all the way back to the 1700s in history, and so he had to not only, interview people who are part of the community who are currently building Oak Tree Road, but he went to our former governor and as well as the mayors, all the way to a historian, somebody who grew up on Oak Tree Road way back when, and he made every single person feel like they were the most important person that has ever stepped foot on camera that he was about to interview. And that professionalism can't be taught. It comes only from experience.
That's very true. What's one most valuable lesson you learned from your father?
Ooh, that's a great question because I have a lot. Many of you don't know, but he's also kind of a rock star. So I've got two. I'll do one related to the documentary and one from life, where if my one from life is if you don't have a pick, use whatever you have. So he has used a subway card, a metro card, to play the guitar for an audience of 100 people. And so number one is use whatever resources you have, it'll work out. Number two, when it came to documentary filmmaking, I would say that when things aren't going your way, you just have to kind of go with it. And that's what he would do. There would be 20 cars honking at once. And so he'd say, let's turn around and make that into the shot. Oh, wait, there's a celebration over there. Let's go with it. So it's really about going with the flow for both aspects, in life. When you're the rock star and you don't have anything to play your guitar with, or when you're directing a film and the elements outside aren't working with you, you just have to readjust.
Wonderful. And you're also deeply involved with charities and youth representation. How do you see films like this influencing younger generations of Indian Americans?
So something that is super important to me is exactly as you said, is my involvement with charity work. I take on a few different causes. One of them is women in sports, femininity in sports, as well as, advocating for the different types of groups who are underprivileged in this country, as well as in India. And I think this film is so important because it is our history, and our history has not been preserved as yet across the board. So we are still actively trying to preserve our history. And a lot of people in the younger generations don't even know our history because it hasn't been properly preserved. So what they are getting is kind of a stilted view. Right? Only what has been put out there is what they know. So films like this are really important because it tells the full story. It does not fall into the political spectrum where we're saying one side or the other. It does not fall into, as we said earlier, generational spectrum where this is right, this is wrong. It really just tells the story as it is. Authentically, this is what happened. This is how you can learn from it. There's no right or wrong. It's just this is what happened. And what happened is honestly more fascinating than having to produce a story and make it more interesting. Real life and real history is so interesting. And I am so excited for people who are part of the younger generations of Indian Americans, whether they are, like me, third, fourth generations, or they're newer, to kind of see what has happened before them, because we're a very unique faction of the American population. We have been fast growing in this area, but we're also very successful, also very hardworking. Not everybody has reached the pinnacles of success that people see all over the news. So I think seeing just all aspects of how people work hard, what they can become, how, now you're just part of the American fabric is going to be really cool for people who are younger and haven't lived it, like my father, to see.
What do you both hope audiences, both South Asian and beyond, take away from Destination Oak Tree Road?
They take away the history of our community. Most important. It didn't come easy. It was a struggle, similar to India's own independence struggle from colonial rule, British colonial rule. And every Indian that came to this country, every South Asian that came to the United States, has had to start from scratch, has had to prove their abilities, prove themselves as being capable of becoming true Americans, like the rest of the population. This is a land of immigrants. And the real way to integrate is to learn, your surroundings, familiarize yourself with your surroundings, do business with your surroundings if that's what you want to do. Meld yourself into the culture. And it's very, very, but there's resistance. And that must never be forgotten. People should remember, I'd like them to remember, that it did not come easy. So today's kids, the kids after her and others, will probably take it for granted, So unless there's documentation such as this film to remind them that things did not come easy. There's a song I remember, It Don't Come Easy. And,
Would you like to sing?
That rock star coming out.
Yes.
I don't
I
have
wish
my
I had a
guitar.
guitar.
I know you're a guitarist as well, so yeah. But yes, I just want people to remember, look, it didn't come easy. Oak Tree Road documentary, Destination Oak Tree Road, reminds you of that, but at the same time doesn't offend anyone. It's there to just tell the truth and to make you all realize it's a struggle, but at the same time, everything's good. It's fine. A struggle is a normal thing. Wherever you go, it's all right. And if you're honest, you're hardworking, and as I said, this is a quintessentially American story. People are hardworking and they live the American dream. They will live the American dream if they just follow the rules, do what they have to, be honest. There's nothing that can ever be impossible.
I think, another great takeaway that I would love people to have is how awesome community is. Something that's so fun about this film is we go all the way back, the history to the 1700s to now, and you can see the entire evolution of the area. But then one thing that never changed about it is community. When you walk on Oak Tree Road, the people shopping in the grocery stores, these Indian grocery stores or South Asian grocery stores, they're not just Indians and South Asians. It's all different types of the American public now because they also love Indian food. I have so many friends who are like, oh my God, I am so excited to wear an Indian outfit because I'm going to this event. And it's a place for everybody to kind of get to experience the culture, but that also the culture is for everybody. And another, fun part about it is when we're going through the history and the area, it started with farms and whatnot. And there was this mention of motorcycles, and some of them were part of a motorcycle gang. Wow. And, that obviously is a little bit of friction. But now when you go down Oak Tree Road, there's a whole bunch of people who are also motorcycle riders now, and they love it. And, it's this evolution of just the movement of a community. And I think it's a story not just for here, because a lot of people who saw this didn't necessarily know about Oak Tree Road before, and we've gotten that comment a lot, which was, oh, I could relate to this. I'm not even Indian, but I could relate to this. I grew up in the Bronx, and I remember the neighborhood being one way, and then it became Italian, and now it's, it's all these different cultures, and everybody comes here to eat. And so I just kind of love that even though it's a really specific story, it's a story for everybody.
I just want to say also, Nidhi, that one of the things I'm very grateful for is when this idea was put out there, because this is a labor of love, as I said, but every project needs funding. I do want to thank all our funders. I mean, they came willingly, knowing this is an important piece, and including the New Jersey Historical Commission and the funders who came for this film. They're all listed, and they're part of history now because they were the ones that supported us in this venture for the sake of our community. All our funders did everything for the love of the community and the larger American community. It's really heartwarming to see the kind of support I got in the making of this film, and I wanted to emphasize that particularly. We couldn't have done it without them, and they all came rallying right with us to make sure that the story is told and told right.
If you weren't working on documentaries or television, what's one activity you'd love to do together, just as father and daughter, no cameras, no deadlines?
Probably play some rock music.
Yeah, we're pretty rock and roll people, so I'm gonna have to go with the same. We actually did a family concert to see AC/DC this year, and that was such a fun, little break from working. So yeah, I would say rock music. That kind of nails it.
And I want to talk about the food. You were shooting on the Oak Tree Road. What was your favorite part of the documentary in the lunch? Like, what would you eat or try?
What didn't we eat and try, I think, is the correct answer. Oh my goodness, everything from soup to dosas to chaat to, it was really fun also, I think, for us to let our crew try a lot of this food for the first time and see their reactions and kind of curate that experience. One of my favorite foods is Indo-Chinese food, and getting to introduce them to this whole new cuisine they didn't even know existed was really cool.
Wonderful. And let's talk about the big Emmy nomination again, and where this event is going to take place, and how excited are you? Is your wardrobe all ready for the event?
Yeah, it's a black tie event. It's happening at the Marriott Marquis in New York City. And we will be walking the red carpet. All the nominees do walk the red carpet. So for us, it'll be the first time, obviously. I haven't, as a journalist, I've walked the red carpet. I mean, covered the red carpet. But this is the first time I'll be walking it myself. She'll be walking it. We all will be walking it. So, as I said, I'm a little, I'm nervous. Oh. I mean, I've never been nervous in my life, but I think at this time I am, because it's a big deal. Securing 2 Emmy nominations, is in and of itself, a big deal, whether we win or not. So I am overwhelmed, and I realize that we are representing not just our community. When we go up, walk that red carpet, we're also representing the state of New Jersey.
Of course.
We're also representing the aspirations of many Americans around the country, because everybody who sees this film, as she said, relates to it in some way or the other. Everybody. And that's what the beauty of the film is. It's like I said, a quintessentially American story. And anybody who lives in America knows what you have to go through, wherever you're from or not from, even if you're from the soil, born here, but you go through life, and this story hits everyone's nerve. They all know that, yes, it's an American story. So there's a burden that you carry when we're going there, because there'll be a lot of people that I know will be rooting for us.
Yes, we
and
will be.
that is kind of making me nervous.
I wouldn't call it a burden. I think it's a responsibility. But no, I'm so excited because, first of all, as he mentioned, to be recognized for the work that we did is so exciting, because this now is getting to bring our film to the wider audience. So from here, once we are finished with the Emmys, which are in about 2 weeks, we will be bringing the film to many educational institutions around the country. We're partnering with universities, museums, libraries, as well as a university in India. And then we are also doing some pretty big screenings. So we want everybody to, follow along at Oak Tree Road Film, and we will have more information about those screenings there in the upcoming months. And we're going to be doing that from November all the way through next May. So it's just so exciting, because the Emmys are kind of this kickoff to bringing the film to everybody. And it's available, right now to stream on PBS, but there'll be so many more opportunities for people to see it. And I think the most important thing for us with this film was we just wanted this for the community. So it's not going to be something where people have to pay to see it. That was really important for us, where, and even to get, recognized for a project that was so near and dear to our heart in that way was really cool. And yes, we are going to be very glam for the red carpet and hoping to elevate who we're wearing and whatnot.
Wow.
So it'll be very fun.
And I wanted to also express our gratitude to our broadcast partners and our co-producers, NJPBS and the parent company, which is based in New York, WNET, which submitted these nominations. So we're going to be with them, with WNET and their group and the NJPBS group, sitting there in anticipation of this whole thing. But I want to express our gratitude. They gave us the distribution platform to showcase the success of the Indian community and the South Asian community on their network. And it's something to be totally appreciated. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, Rohit and Aditi, congratulations once again on your Emmy nominations. Destination Oak Tree Road is more than a documentary. It's a legacy piece that preserves the voices, struggles, and triumphs of a community that has shaped America's cultural landscape. We wish you both the very best at the Emmys and look forward to many, many more powerful stories from the Vyas family.
Thank you very much, Nidhi. Thank you for having us.